The creationist movement actually is a threat to freedom of religion. They are using the religious right mantra that teaching intelligent design in a public school guarantees government neutrality. They regard evolution as having atheistic implications, and anything that has religious implications should be balanced with teaching something that has contrary religious implications. So if you were teaching evolution in a public school, which in the minds of the intelligent design movement has atheistic implications, which it really doesn't, then it should be balanced with the intelligent design view, which has positive implications for religious belief. But what that does is really to destroy government neutrality. Evolution is religiously neutral. One can either accept religion or reject it and still accept what science shows about evolution. So there's no violation of government neutrality in teaching evolution. That would make science unconstitutional. But to inject intelligent design into the science curriculum really curtails the religious freedom of teachers who would be required to teach this. It curtails the religious freedom of students who would have to be unwilling pawns in this movement's plans to take over the public schools. So it really would curtail, especially children who, we have a multicultural society, and the public schools reflect that. We have Buddhist children, Jewish children, Islamic children. This is by and large a Christian movement. The intelligent design is almost exclusively populated with Christians. So you would be curtailing the religious freedom of about 95% of the people in the public schools. So religious freedom would be directly threatened. The creationist movement is having no effect on the way scientists do science. It's not having any effect on the development of science, the practice of science, the development of technology. Not among the scientists who are practicing now, but in the long run. If you get young people who think that they can't go into science because it's going to jeopardize their religious faith, then you're going to see an even worse problem of getting American youngsters to become scientists than we already have. We are depending largely on foreign scientists to staff research laboratories and university, and their numbers are dropping because it's harder to get into the country. But American youngsters, because of the difficulty that they have with math and science, are really entering the sciences in steadily diminishing numbers. That's going to get worse. And if they think that their religious beliefs are threatened by science, then you combine that with the fact that they have to learn their math, and you're going to have a steadily eroding base of future scientists. And so in the long run, it will affect how science is done. And you also, though, what I see happening is I see young people announcing that they support intelligent design, that they think this is science, and they're majoring in science. That should worry everyone, because you're going to have young people entering, some of the young people who are entering the sciences are doing it with a totally misinformed understanding of what science is. The base question that is really the fundamental question in the issue about evolution and creationism is an epistemological question, and that's really a very simple question. Philosophers tend to make it more complicated than it really is. It's, number one, the question of what constitutes knowledge. What is knowledge? What qualifies as knowledge? When can you say you know something? Second question, how do you know? How do you get knowledge? And what the intelligent design people are doing is substituting authoritarianism and religious revelation as knowledge. And they have no methodology, they have no epistemology, they reject the methodology of science, they reject the epistemology of science. Science has a methodology. It's all the things that scientists do to construct natural explanations of the world. They have an epistemology. It's called empiricism, right? And it means that you rely on observation, using your 5 senses to learn about the world, and then you rely upon your powers of rational reflection to construct explanations for your data. That's what they do. And you don't accept into science the supernatural as a principle of scientific explanation, which when you get right down to the bedrock of what intelligent design is about, it's trying to explain the natural world in a supernatural way and trying to pass off the supernatural as a scientific explanation. There is no epistemology involved there. You simply pick out an authoritative source. In this case, for the intelligent design movement, it's the book of John rather than the book of Genesis, which they've substituted for the book of Genesis. And you simply, from there, pick out whatever other sources of revealed religious wisdom you want to add to that, and you try to convince people that you're doing science. And so when we get right down to the bedrock issue involved here is when people say they know things, do they truly know? Can they show others how they got this knowledge? Scientists can do that. They can show everybody. They can science is public. It has a public, the methodology is public. They can show anybody how they do what they do, how they know what they know. So far, the intelligent design creationists have never shown anybody how they would even themselves go about answering the questions that they raise, because they have no method and they have no epistemology. Looking back over the answers I've given about intelligent design creationism and how it is affecting science education, I would have to say that if you're going to consider the status of science as a whole, the strength of science as a discipline, then I think you have to situate, you have to locate intelligent design as being part of a larger attack on science that we're seeing politically. Because the intelligent design movement is really about politics and using politics to advance a religious attack on science, on the credibility of science. So intelligent design is part of a larger attack on science, and I think scientists are now beginning to see it as that. It's been very difficult to get scientists, the scientific community, to take intelligent design creationism seriously. They want to lump it in with all the other silly forms of creationism that they've dismissed as the lunatic fringe. But I think they're seeing that this particular form of creationism has a political strength, that when you combine that with what scientists are experiencing directly, with the government's science committees being undermined, with science funding sometimes being threatened, I think now they realize that the intelligent design movement is part of a much larger, very deliberate, very well orchestrated attack on the way they do their science. And they see that the integrity of their discipline is under attack.